What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Kamikaze Podcast. I'm your host, JP, and I'm joined by my co-host, is Morgs, aka Morgan.
What's up?
TJ was not available or not able to join us today, so she will not be joining us for this podcast. So it's just me and Morgan. But
Today we have some really tasty episode. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories. And on the top of the list, we have the notorious 9/11 conspiracy theory.
Ooh, that is a touchy subject.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I can't speak for my country since I'm not from the US, but I would assume it is very touchy since it hasn't been solved yet.
I mean, it's an extremely controversial subject as far as the media is portraying one view of what happened, the story of what happened, and then some conspiracy theorists, a majority of people disagree with the media. So it's been a mystery that's been going back and forth for years.
As I told JP before, I feel old. It's been 18 years since the 9/11 attack happened.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, I was around the age of 6 or 7 at the time, and I can still remember that day. Won't go into too much details. We will just round for our conspiracy theories. I, for once, agree that 9/11 was an inside job, but that is just my opinion. You can have your opinion about whether it was an inside job or not.
Right. Now, I'm sure everyone knows what 9/11 was. It was the collapse of the two World Trade Centers in New York City, and it was extremely. It was all over the media, all over the world. Everyone knew about it, and the media portrayed it as a Boeing jet flew into one of the trade centers, and it basically crashed down to the ground. And there's many popular conspiracy theories surrounding the whole incident, such as one major conspiracy theory is that 9/11 was basically a controlled demolition, meaning the building was meant to collapse. They were basically getting rid of it. So that's a big conspiracy, that it was planned, that there was no plane whatsoever. Some people even say, which I don't know about that. But some people say that it was planned. It was an inside job, basically. Government officials and everything planned this out, that it would fall down, as planned and everything.
Just for a second, I am so sorry for the background noises. I'm outside in my garden, so if you hear kids' noise, it's because I'm living in a family area right now. But I think that, as I said, it was an inside job, and it was crash so the US government could start a war against the Middle East, Iraq, Iran, and all of that shit, because I believe that I have read some conspiracy theories that they even left cars back in the Middle East, and that the US government actually created what today is the ISIS.
Interesting theory. There was one theory that I heard about 9/11, that there was no plane whatsoever, and the plane that you see filmed on like all these videos that you see of 9/11, those were actually holograms. Now, we're not saying any of these conspiracy theories are true. We're not backing these conspiracy theories necessarily, keyword necessarily, but we're just stating the conspiracy theories that are going around and basically reacting to them and our opinion on them. But that is an interesting theory, that they were holograms, there was no plane whatsoever, and that there were charges, basically explosive charges planted all throughout the towers that would make the building collapse.
If it was like a hologram, I would be impressed. Just because it was in the early 2000s, I have never heard about any holograms at all whatsoever at that time.
Right.
So that would be a major surprise for everybody. Yeah, but as JP said, we're not stating any facts. It is just conspiracy theories.
Right. I've read some basically reports of eyewitnesses stating that the collapse of the Twin Towers seemed more of multiple explosions happening down the building. And if you look at footage of the Twin Towers, you will see there does appear to be multiple explosions happening like down the building in kind of like a domino effect, making the building collapse rather than fire and like effect from the plane crashing, the impact. So that's another
Some
belief.
say rumored supposedly said that it was supposed to crash in Pentagon very first and not the World Trade Center, but that's a big miss to miss the actual Pentagon and go for the World Trade Center instead. It's like you going to the market. I want to buy expensive food, but I'm broke, so I'll have to buy cheap food instead. That's like how I pictured in my head. They couldn't go to Pentagon. They went to World Trade Center instead. I'm sorry for making fun of it. I'm sorry, but I mean, yeah, I can take things seriously, but sometimes I just want to make a joke about it. Sometimes that is just me. So don't come at me on this one.
Right.
And also, today's episode is not all about the 9/11. We have more conspiracy theories.
So, I mean, yeah, according to critics, basically the construction of the World Trade Center and the Twin Towers was so well made it could not have basically demolished that easily just from a plane or two crashing into it. And if you look at the different camera angles from all around the Trade Center, it shows that there seemed to have been explosive, installed in the buildings in advance. And even if there was a plane, the plane was only basically the fuse that caused those, explosives to go off. Basically, that's what they're saying.
I'm one of those who still wants to know what really happened that day 11 years ago.
Let's see. So several doctors from Brigham Young University stated that aircraft impacts and resulting fires could not have weakened the buildings sufficiently to initiate a catastrophic collapse, and the buildings would not have collapsed completely nor at the speeds they did without additional factors weakening the structures, such as explosives installed in the buildings in advance.
That is messed up.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I guess there seems to be no explanation why they would do this unless it was to start war with the Middle East. Basically an excuse to start war with the Middle East. That seems like the only valid motive behind doing something like this.
U.S. had to blame someone, and they blamed or framed the Middle East and Osama bin Laden and started a war for absolutely no reason at all whatsoever. So I still to this day believe it was an inside job, but nobody can ever prove me wrong.
Right, that's the problem. There's no proof that it was, and there's no proof that it wasn't.
Exactly. Hence why it is a conspiracy theory.
Alrighty, anyway, moving on from the whole 9/11 conspiracy, I want to talk about another conspiracy that has been popular, I'd say, in the last 5 years. Talking about particularly a group called the Flat Earth Society, who believe that the world is not a globe as we have been taught in schooling and on media, that is actually indeed a flat surface, a disc. And they believe that all the NASA photos, the photos from space, the Hubble telescope, everything, they are faked, they are photoshopped. They believe also that no one landed on the moon. The whole moon landing was fake. It was staged. It was shot in a desert somewhere in the Middle East or Africa. They believe that all this stuff was fake, and we have been led to believe that the world is round when it is not. And I have quite a few questions for the flat earthers. First of all, behind every lie in history, there's always been a motive. There's always a motive to a lie. No one lies for no reason. My question is, what would be the motive for the media, for the education system, for the government to lie to us and tell us that the world is round when it is flat? What's the purpose? What would they gain by making the people believe that the world is round versus a disc?
Being brainwashed people.
Brainwashed, but my question is, what would they gain from that?
I don't know.
And then,
if everybody else wants.
If you did have a disc-shaped Earth, the question comes down to is, where's the edge? That is the biggest question that I've talked to flat earthers, and they have never given me a definitive answer. Where is the edge? I have had multiple answers, and none of them even make any sense. Some people say that there is an edge, but it is past basically all the ice and glaciers, and we haven't discovered it yet. Past Antarctica and all that. And they say the edge of the world is basically a huge wall of ice, and we haven't gotten through it yet. Or they say that the ones who have found the edge of the Earth have fallen off of it. Or they say that the world has no edge; it's an indefinite, infinite plane of land and water. And
so retarded.
It is. No offense to anyone who believes in the flat earth theory. Like we've said before, everyone has the right to their own opinion. We are not knocking anyone particularly or personally, but I do feel like the whole flat earth theory is extremely, extremely retarded, and there's no factual evidence to base it on, to back it up.
We who do not believe that Earth is flat, we can't prove that it is round either.
Right, that's the thing.
It's really word to word. You can't prove anything. Oh yeah, the day you can prove is when you're dead. But you can't talk to me then, because I'm alive, you're dead. So being you, I guess.
I was going to say that, obviously none of us have been to space. And everyone who has been to space, the flat earthers will automatically say, oh, he's a NASA astronaut. Of course, he'll lie for NASA just to keep his position as an astronaut. So they won't trust them. So none of us have been to space to prove it. But definitely, if you go high enough, I have an FAA-UMA license for flying drones. And I have flown drones about 4,000 feet in the air. And you can definitely see a slight curvature on the Earth. And I am convinced that the Earth is round. Now, another point that the flat earthers say is, if the Earth is round, then why don't we all fly off? And obviously the correct answer is gravity, the law of gravity. And they say, well, gravity isn't real. And gravity is... Okay, here's the thing with gravity. And please, anyone in the comments, if I'm wrong about this, please correct me. Any scientists out there, anyone who really knows. But as far as I know, gravity is they're right. Gravity is not an actual physical thing. Gravity is a law. Just like any other laws in the universe, gravity is a law. It is not an actual physical thing. It is the magnetic pull of the Earth pulling you in and weighing you down. And they say that gravity does not exist, but that is obviously the fundamental law of how we stay glued to the surface of the Earth while it's spinning and rotating through space.
I was going to say, oh yeah, if the Earth is round, we should have fell off for a long time.
Right.
We would basically be Michael Jackson doing the lean in that case. And I can see why I believe that it is flat, because all off really physically, because you just keep walking like nothing else. I can see, but I respect their opinions, even though in my opinion sounds really stupid.
I have another question for flat earthers. How do you explain the Coriolis Effect? Now, the Coriolis Effect is basically the inertia of the Earth spinning. Now, if you go into the Army or Marines and you train to be a sniper, those snipers who shoot at very long ranges, who shoot probably thousands or hundreds of thousands of feet away, they have to take into account the Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect, I think I'm saying that right. So basically, the sniper has to compensate for the spin of the Earth if they want to get that pinpoint accuracy. So that's my question: is how do you explain the Coriolis effect if the Earth is not spinning, if it's not a globe?
Physically can't explain that.
Right,
It
you
is
literally can.
impossible to explain that. Spoilers for you. The next topic I wanted to talk about was Area 51. I really don't believe that they keep aliens, but I've always been very fascinated and interested of Area 51.
Mm.
I'm not alone when I talk and say that we want to know what Area 51 is actually about. Like, does it work? Do the government actually hide aliens?
Right.
They would have annihilated us by a long shot already because we are so weak as a species. But
I wanted to explain what Area 51 was because, according to media in movies and television and everything, we get I think a lot of people get the wrong idea of what Area 51 actually is. It's basically an Air Force base. It's a detachment of the Edwards Air Force Base in Nevada, and it's basically just a highly classified Air Force base. So only high-ranking officials, people that can actually work there, who have clearance to work there. And the purpose is publicly unknown of Area 51. But based on records, documents, and everything, it's most likely that it's a place of development and testing of like experimental aircraft, such as stealth aircraft. Stuff like that, maybe even like other kind of bombs and stuff, weapons, and I definitely don't think it's as crazy as people think. I think they've taken the idea that Area 51 is such a secretive place, and they've taken that idea and run with it. They've made it into something that it really is not. But obviously, there's no way to prove it.
The whole testing new airplanes and guns and all of that, I don't buy that for do it, because if that was the case, why wouldn't they be open and public about it? Like, we are testing this, yeah. Of course they shouldn't take over with weapons to attack Mother Russia or
Right.
North Korea. Of course they wouldn't say that, but they could just tell us that we're trying out new weapons in case it would break out war. So instead of keeping it a secret, because then here we are in a conspiracy theory, wondering what it really is, and all of the talk about aliens, it's not true. Like, come on,
No.
grow up.
I think the idea has just been propagated by the media, the hype, the movies.
But if there really are aliens, and you're hearing this, bro,
Hit us
be the
up.
one.
Hit us up.
So, brother,
Hey.
green, blue, yellow, purple, whatever you are, you have the permission to kill me first for doubting you if you truly exist.
But please let us interview on the podcast first, and then you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should accept Nika as well. Like, come on. It's a 3-man group. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Fine, bro.
Bruh. I mean, I can see where you're coming from as far as why don't you just tell us, but I also do see if that was the case, I could understand about them being secretive about it, because if they did want to test out a certain piece of equipment or a certain airplane or a certain aircraft of some sort, I could definitely see that they would want to keep it completely confidential, completely secret, and everything. I don't know.
Who are the test subjects? Or what are they? That is something I wonder too, because they can't pick up some stranger on the street like, yes, up, bro. Want to be a part of Area 51? We got booze and drugs. No. So why and who and what they're testing their equipment and all of that on?
I mean, it's just like most other conspiracy theories. That's what a conspiracy theory is. You can't prove it. You can't prove that it's true. You can't prove that it's not true, and that's hence it's called a conspiracy theory because it cannot be proven.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! But yeah, I think most conspiracy theories are basically just fruitless. You just go around in circles. Unless there's a major breach of security or like documents leaked or something, it literally stays a conspiracy theory forever. Because if we did find out the truth, it would no longer be a conspiracy theory. So I think that's why conspiracy theories are pretty much a waste of time and useless. Just because you go around and around the same bush, on, and you never get to a conclusion. I mean, it's interesting, don't get me wrong. It's very interesting. It's cool to talk about and to think about. But honestly, it's really a waste of time.
Have a crush on George Bush? Because I like trees. What is wrong with you, bro?
George Bush killed Kennedy.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Obama raped R. Kelly.
Of course.
I was never existing, so...
For real. But anyway, guys.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, I think that wraps up our episode for today. This was kind of a scuffed episode again, but it was just fun to discuss these different conspiracy theories. Just kind of talk about what we think about. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Hopefully, Nika will be with us next episode. We miss her. She's definitely
We'll be in our thoughts. We'll never meet Nika.
She will be in our thoughts. She will forever be in our hearts.
Hearts, thoughts, hearts, whatever.
Same thing.
It's a conspiracy theory, okay?
We, as you can see, we're like lost without Nika. We have no idea what to talk about. This was kind of a last-minute decision that we were going to talk about conspiracy theories.
Yes, Nika, we miss you.
Please come back. Please come back.
Take a quick moment to pay my condolences to the YouTuber / streamer Desmond, also known as Etika, who we lost from suicidal. So, if you're out there and feeling suicidal or having dark times, just reach out to us because we will be here for you to support you.
Definitely.
And we love you.
Yeah, we do, and definitely don't be scared to reach out to us. We want to talk to our listeners. We want to know how you feel, even in your personal lives. We want to be here to help you, and anything. Just text us, DM us on Instagram or Twitter. Let us know, and as always.